And the next thing I know, you dial back in and you're sitting down inside of a Planet Fitness. It wasn't like your gym. And you even said, hey, man, people are looking at me funny. Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Jay Helms. And if you are new here, if this is your first time discovering the W2 Capitalist, we as the W2 Capitalists are a resource for married men and women to build multiple streams of income through real estate investing so that you can be more present both mentally and physically with your spouse and your children and help put you on a path toward building generational wealth. Personally, I want to be that guy that helps you remove the anxiety and stress that comes with financially providing for your family. Today's episode with Mr. Corey Woodruff, we get into all sorts of stuff that supports exactly that. Let's get into it. Corey, welcome to the show, sir.
Thanks for having me, Jay.
So this is our second go round of this, and I'm highlighting that because I think it's going to show just how much of a hustler you are, and that's what I want to focus on today as we have our little conversation here. Because last time you and I talked, and I think, you know, I follow you on Facebook, and I see these deals after deals after deals being closed. As a matter of fact, you just told me, hey, we're last time we talked, we had 800 units. Now we're at over 1,100. And I see the stuff on Facebook, and I see all the stuff that you're chasing, and I'm like, how the hell is he doing it? And this is an example of, I know how you're doing it. So the last time you and I talked, or tried to talk, we tried to schedule this. I think you were on your way to go like a vacation or something. You were on the road. You may have been going to check out another property.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
The time came where we were supposed to record this, and you're in your truck, you pulled over, and the connection was just not good, or something was like, and you're like, all right, give me a couple minutes. And the next thing I know, you dial back in and you're sitting down inside of a Planet Fitness or some sort of gym. And I don't know if you're a member there or not. I mean, obviously you work out with those big ass biceps you got, but it wasn't like your gym. And you even said, hey man, people are looking at me funny, you know? And then we continue to have audio issues, and we're like, look, let's do this again when we can sit down, we make sure the audio is good. But I comparing that to myself, and I would have made every excuse in the world not to make. I was like, look, I'll have to reschedule this. And even now, you said when we were just talking a minute ago, you're like, hey, I had this planned out. I had a new microphone. I was ready to go. I was at I was going to be where I had some quiet space. I know you just got a new office space too, and you're like, I got this call from this guy. I'm headed down to West Virginia, and he said, look, I will sign the contract if you bring it to me. And you're on the road to take it to. Here we are. We're recording this about a week from Christmas, and you're like, I'm gone. So I freaking love the hustle, and that's what I want to dive into today is, where the hell does that come from, and how do you encourage people who don't have that? I'm raising my hand as much. Where does it come from, man? Where does all that come from?
Yeah, when I was growing up, I don't like diving into the sob story of it all, but when I was growing up, things weren't the normal things that most people would call a necessity was things that I did not have. I grew up in trailer parks when I was young until I was about 12 years old. I lived in a trailer park. I remember a lot of the same stories that tenants have now, saying to me, of, hey, they shut my heat off, or I don't have power, or whatever, eviction notices. Those are all things that I experienced of growing up. So when people ask me, how do I find the energy? It's not really an energy. It's a refusal. I refuse to have that life that I grew up in. So I don't really know if it's energy or refusal, but either way, you take my energy with the refusal to be poor and put them together, and it seems to be working out okay.
It is. It's inspiring me. I'll tell you that. I'm like, man, I feel like I am. I got to get out of my. I'm an introvert by nature, and I will. I'm very comfortable behind the microphone and the computer. But man, if I got a call from a potential seller, I don't know that I would have done it, especially a week here before Christmas, and we're trying to get all this stuff done. And you're like, dude, I'm just going after it. I didn't know that about you. I didn't know you grew up in a trailer park and having having a need to even have the essential stuff provided for you. Do you manage a lot of your own parks now, or do you hand them over to some other form of management?
Yeah, so thank God. But I've been managing everything myself, but I've just recently hired a president of operations, and now we've even taken it a step further, hired a VP of operations. And then as soon as we did that, we got 5 more parks under contract that are like, streamlined to close. So now we're hiring an operations assistant. So now we have, 3 people in front of me before it gets to me, kind of thing. But right now, obviously in how I structure my deals, you lose an investor money or make a deal go bad, my whole business crumbles. So I still micromanage the hell out of all of them, So, if I'm not doing it, I'm standing over top of you telling you how to do it until I know it's done right,
Yeah, you got to get that comfort level with those folks. I think it's very smart for you and for you looking out for your investors' money. Oh, yeah. That you're doing that, right? At some point in time, though, if you want to scale even more, you've got to delegate. And I'm preaching to the choir. I'm the exact same way. I am curious, though, knowing how you grew up now, and then, when tenants come to you and tell you these stories that you lived through, how do you handle that? Like I suck at being a property manager. I outsource that. I cannot deal with it. Somebody give me a sob story, and then I'm going to feel like being the a-hole that tells them yes or no or whatever. It just doesn't fit my personality type. And with you, though, you've went through it, so I'm assuming you've got some compassion for them. How do you work with them, right? How do you handle that?
Well, I always instruct so that those complaints go to my park manager, and I always instruct them to be compassionate at first. If you put an eviction notice on someone's door and they call you instantly and they say, this and this is going on, we show compassion. Month 2, we show no compassion. So 1 month behind, we'll show compassion. But here's another example. You put an eviction notice on someone's door on the 5th, or 7-day notice or 3-day notice.
Right, whatever the rules are for that area, right?
And then when they get their eviction notice for their court hearing from the attorney, and then they have all these excuses, I could care less. Because you got a notice on your door saying that you and your kids weren't going to have a home if you didn't let us know what was going on. And you waited another 3 weeks until you got the letter. That's not something I'm worried about anymore.
Yeah.
So I have compassion, but also I have this inner feeling as well, where if I can pull myself up, I believe that everybody can, because I'm not super smart. I'm not super savvy. I have a college degree, but I wrestled, so I got to coast. I didn't learn a bunch, right?
Dude, don't ever get me in a headlock with those biceps you got going on there.
I got to coast a little bit, so I'm not super smart, savvy. I don't have all these big connections. It's funny. When I was getting into real estate, I kept telling myself the same excuse. I kept saying, "This would be so much easier if I had rich family and friends." And it's funny because all my friends and family, they're not rich by any means. And now it's like my friends are some of like the richest people ever. All my friends that I talk to on a daily basis now are extremely rich. So it's like, it's all about how you set yourself up in your mindset and who you're hanging out with and who you're trying to meet. More importantly, if going to the local bar on Friday is your every weekend thing, and then on Monday you complain about not having rich friends, that doesn't fit for me,
Yeah. And matter of fact, last time we talked, I did take a little bit of notes, in one of the things that you said, or I might have picked this up on your Facebook, because you put a lot of good stuff out there, is if people in your circle don't have money, you're hanging out in the wrong circle. And I absolutely love that. And I hate the idea that people are out there thinking that they can invest in real estate without any money, because it does take some money to do it. But and I think the one way to get there is to change your mindset and start hanging out with the people that are in a position, whether it be money, or you look at somebody and you're like, man, I really like how this guy treats his family and how he treats his wife. I need to be around more folks like that, right? And you start hanging around the people who they're in a position that you envy, right?
Yeah.
But with you, and just knowing what you told me about your background, how did you start getting around those people with money, right? I mean, because if you're, and I don't want to sound too much of an asshole, but if you're in a trailer park and there's other people in the trailer park, I doubt you guys banded together and said, all right, we're going to buy this sucker, and then we're going to go buy the next one over in the middle of town. But so how did you initially get into that circle?
Well, so, to shorten up the story a little bit, because it is kind of a longer story how I did that, but to shorten it up a little bit, I saved a lot of my money. I bought my first mobile home park, and then I told my fiance, I said, hey, in 5 years, we're going to refinance this, and then we'll have enough money to buy another one, and we'll just keep doing that. And then in 10 years, we're going to own about like 5 to 10 of these parks in like 10 years. And then I started looking around on all the forums, and I started to realize that the shortage isn't money. The shortage isn't my money. The shortage isn't my knowledge. The shortage is good deals. So I said to Victoria, I said, hey, maybe this isn't the right strategy. Maybe the strategy is to not buy parks on our own, but to find good deals to where you just dangle the carrot out and people just swarm it, right? And I mean, I didn't invent something new, but I thought I had, right? And I thought I was real clever for coming up with that. And then so she's like, okay, let's do it. So we started calling mobile home parks, her and I both. I was working a full-time job. She'd call when I wasn't calling, and we started getting these deals. And then once I got one investor, he introduced me to another and another to another. And then I started wholesaling deals. And then I just started saying, hey, look, instead of doing the wholesale, let's do the deal together. And now whenever I find a deal, it's like as soon as I see the deal, I know exactly who I'm going to call to get the money for the deal. To where nowadays, I mean, the last 10 parks I bought, my investment is zero, no money. Zero
Love it. And you're just getting paid like a syndication fee or asset management fee for putting the deal together.
Yep. Acquisition fee, management fee, and about 30% ownership in the deal.
Wow. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. So I want to go back. You said while you were working, I know you exited the W-2 world, but while you were working, there was this story about you just closed on your second park. And guys, this is, again, for you watching or listening, this is the kind of hustle that I'm talking about, right? So Corey, you had $0 in your bank account, right? And because you're broke from buying your second park. Plus I think you bought a house, you and your wife and family moved in. And after buying that park, you had to go to your boss and say, hey man, can I get an advance, for Christmas? Right. Yeah. So the ball's on you. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, you just spent, which I love, because Elon Musk that said the same thing when he sold, I think it was PayPal that he sold. He went and invested into like SpaceX and like two Tesla and a couple other companies. And then he had to go borrow money to pay rent. And I'm like, dude, the hustle and just like, I don't know. It's super inspiring. Right.
So, go ahead.
Nope.
Yeah, no, the thing is too, it's like when I bought the house in the park, everyone, people see what you want them to see, right? So on Facebook, they're saying, holy crap, Corey just bought another park. He just bought a beautiful home. And really, I'm biting my nails wondering, what I'm going to do to buy my kids Christmas gifts. Now, you had mentioned like the balls on me, but I mean, my bosses that I work for, they were like super helpful. I knew for a fact if I wasn't going to come up for the money for Christmas, if I would have called those guys for $100,000, they would say, oh yeah, no problem. Here you go. Cause they know I would give it back. So I always knew I was going to be safe, but it's funny because while people thought I was just flourishing, really, I was just dwindled down to nothing, man. And, I had to borrow money for Christmas for my kids.
Well, but now you've broke through, right? So that was the second park. It had, you were up to 120 lots at that point in time, or, and now, cause that was just a short while ago. That was, 2 years ago?
Yeah. 2 years ago.
And now you're over 1,100 doors. And just a couple of months ago, when we originally had this scheduled, you were at 800. How are you finding these deals, and where are you? Because I know you're in, just slipped my mind.
Ohio, Lima.
Okay, so you have parks all over the Midwest then.
Oh yeah.
Because Ohio was not what I was thinking of.
Yeah, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Pennsylvania, Minnesota, and Illinois
Minnesota.
now.
That's what I was thinking of, was Minnesota. For some reason I thought you were there. Okay. So there's a guy I follow. I'm in his mastermind. I followed him for a while. He does YouTube lives every now and then. Not every now and then. He does one every day. And I'm like religiously subscribing and consuming.
Fanboy.
Yeah. Like, teach me your ways,
Right.
And so I filled out this form and he invited me to come on one of his shows. And I was like, oh shit, what am I going to talk to him about? And then we got on there and we're just kind of shooting the shit and this recording and everything. And I was like, man, I just absolutely love that you're from Tennessee. And he goes, well, Jay, I'm not from Tennessee. I'm from Connecticut. And I was like, well, and this is after I already told him, hey man, I love what you do. My business would not be where it is, but if you weren't around, if I didn't discover you and find you and do all this other stuff. And I said, I can't tell you how much I owe you and how big of a fan I am of yours. Where did you grow up in Tennessee or something like that? And he goes, yeah, I have some friends in Tennessee, but I've never lived in Tennessee before. And I was like, okay, well, egg on my face, dude. I'm still a big fan.
Yeah, still a huge fan, man.
Well,
that's all that matters.
well, because he'll say, hey, y'all, like y'all is one of his catchphrases, or not catchphrases, but it's something he uses regularly. I was like, yeah, he's from the Southeast, just like me. That's fine. So my apologies. I didn't know Ohio. Minnesota was what I was thinking of.
Yeah, too much snow for me there.
How are you finding all these parks all over the place?
Well, to be honest, I can take credit for setting up the systems, but one of the things when I did end up leaving my job, because I had done it on my own for so long, I thought that I could continue to do that.
Yeah.
And it was until I seen a book. It's called "What Got You Here Won't Get You There," and it's basically essentially saying what got you to the point where you're at, you're happy, but where you're trying to get to, that same thing is not going to work. And it made perfect sense because I always thought if I just continue to work nonstop and sleep not a lot of hours every day, I'll be massively successful. But you start to get to that point where you're giving up so much time, and then you come home and your kids are nowhere to be found, and you got to kind of use pictures to remember who they are, kind of thing. So a lot of the credit really lately has to go to my team. I mean, they grind on the phones. I brought on Dylan. I'm sure that you had kind of seen, I've been tagging him in a lot of stuff on Facebook, but he's now a senior partner in my firm. And, I've put a lot of responsibility on him and my callers. But anyway, to answer your question, just cold calls. I mean, I have nothing against brokers, but every time you look at one of their stuff, you're like, holy crap, there's a deal here. And you just read down 2 paragraphs and you're like, no deal. It's like, or they're ridiculously overpriced, and it doesn't work for me in the way that I'm trying to invest. So nothing against brokers. I know there will be one day when I'm, sitting high up where I can afford to pay those prices and just have stable cash flow, but that's just not where I am right now. So cold call and 110%. Yep.
Okay. So you've never closed a deal with a broker or a realtor?
Technically, one of my deals was a pocket listing through a broker.
Okay. But nothing off the MLS or anything like that.
Right. Yeah. Every deal except one, which it was kind of off market, kind of wasn't, kind of thing. So
yeah. I apparently I don't know the definition of off market, because I will have these people, lots of people in my feed. They'll post these properties and they'll say off market, and I'm like, well, you're advertising for it. So how is that off market? Like, it's off market. It's on the market. It's just not on the MLS, and you're really not a realtor. Maybe that's why they're doing it.
My version of off market is where it's not being blasted out, man.
Yeah, exactly.
You called me up and you said, hey, I found a deal. Here's the details on it. Like, let me know if you want it, kind of thing. Or I'm calling it myself, right?
Yeah. What's your target? And don't obviously don't give us everything, but what is your, because you're fine, because there's a lot that goes into, even if you find, like, if you and I were to search the same criteria and find the owners and start calling them, you're going to win more times than I'm going to win, just because you've done it. You keep, you come from a unique position. I actually think it helps you out where you're sitting there with knowledge of growing up in a mobile home park and knowing kind of things that those tenants are going to go through, which I think puts you in a unique position to talk to the owners, right? Because you used to be their customer. You used to know, I mean, you know, you would hear, or your parents used to be. So what are some of the things that you look for to identify these properties? Is it pad size? Is it park on homes? Is there a ratio there with park on homes versus tenant on homes? What's the thing that you kind of narrow it down to, if there is one?
Yeah, I keep it, I keep it pretty. I learned my lessons early, and if I would have known this lesson a few years ago that I know now, I would own 50 parks. So I used to just clutch on to one investor for, a year, and then I would only be pitching him deals, and if he said no, we'd kill it. So basically, what
Gotcha.
I started to learn, and then I started working with another investor, and he doesn't do anything with wells. If it has a well, he's out. It doesn't matter if there's $1 million to be made. And
I'm
so
with
then I
him.
started cutting deals that way. And I was like, no, this isn't right. So I started, basically, I have guys that'll do private, utilities. I have guys that'll do public. I have guys that will do infill. So basically, when I find one that's heavy infill, I know I can get the job done. I mean, we've added, like 20 homes to one of my parks in like the first just 6 months. Basically, when I find these parks that I know I can create value with, I'll call certain people to invest in them. So, I mean, I'm closing a park that's 10 minutes down the road from my office. That's 22 spaces, but there's value to be added there, and it's really close by, and I think it'll be easy to manage.
Yeah.
So I don't really have a huge, a strict criteria. If I can make money on it, I want to do it. I mean,
Yeah, I love that. You mentioned that book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. I absolutely love that saying. I don't know Marshall Goldsmith, the author, but I'm definitely adding it to my list because it's got some raving reviews on Amazon.
It's perfect because it's the same thing. I actually got the book because I was a killer salesman in the timeshare world. Well, and then they just were like, hey, you're going to be a salesman and you're going to skip a closer, you're going to skip assistant manager, you're going to skip manager. Now you're just going to be president of sales. And I had all these extra responsibilities, and I thought just my grit would just keep me excelling. And I was like, all right, I got to take a step back and figure out, as a president of sales, how do I become successful? So basically, you got these guys that own one park, and they're massively successful with them. So they're like, well, all I got to do is buy another one, and I'll be the same successful. No, you won't. You have to adapt every day to owning 2 parks is completely different than owning 3.
Yeah.
Owning 3 is completely different than owning 4, right? I mean, you start to get these extra things, and then you start to add in city, well and city sewer, well and septic, and you have all these extra moving parts. And basically, it just kind of shows you that your one system, your one track mind will get you so far. And maybe some people's one track mind will get you real far, right? But and you kind of use President Trump as a good example. I mean, his grit got him presidency 1, but he kept on that same track, and it didn't get him 2. Now some may, I won't go there. But
we don't know. Well, we don't know. He hasn't accepted defeat yet.
Hey, but vote for whoever you want. I'm good. I just say, he's a very perfect example of someone that came in and said, hey, this is what got me there. I'm going to keep on this track. Yeah. And it didn't work out for him, man. So you have to adapt. You have to adapt once you get to where you want to be. And that's why, goal setting is so important for us, because once we hit a certain goal, then we have to set it even higher, but also create the steps. You have to create that new ladder to be able to get to that next goal.
Yeah. Yeah. And I we're joking around that. So it was December 17th. I don't think we're going to know. It's interesting. I mean, we're a month away from when the new president's supposed to come in.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen? I have my views. I don't know. Who knows? I wish that there was a more accurate and trusted way for people to vote. And I think we're all, no matter who you voted for, I think right now we're all getting played.
Oh yeah.
I
100%
people
agree. And everyone's saying, everyone's saying we can't have Biden because he's going to raise taxes. And to me, the way that I think, I didn't vote for Biden, and I'm fine with people that did. But for me, if Biden raises taxes, it means I need to do more deals. That's it.
Well, so all right. So I'm glad you said that. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is being laser focused, and that's a perfect example of that. And a lot of people think, hey, 2020 sucks, blah blah blah. And I'm like, dude, it is what it is. You need to stop worrying about that and get focused on what you want to focus on. I had a coaching call with a guy the other day, and he was like, man, I want to start this business, and um, but 2020 is just COVID is just, and it's a consulting business for people who want to get into the multifamily space. And I told him, I said, look, I'm going to call him John. His name's not John. I said, John, I said, do you mind if I call you out on your bullshit right now? And he said,
Good.
well, what do you mean? And I said, John, from where I sit, there are people buying multifamily properties that have no business buying multifamily properties because they have gotten the bug and they've underwrote a few deals and they think they know what they're doing. They don't. If your consulting business, if there has ever been a need for it, it is right now because of these people who are out there putting together deals. And I feel like those guys are going to be really hurting in 3 to 5 years, and their investors are going to be really pissed off.
Yeah.
And I said, so don't blame this shit on 2020. Blame this on your message is not clear and you're not willing to do the work.
Yeah.
He kind of stepped back and goes, huh, okay. So
that's exactly right. I mean, you see people posting on Facebook all day, 2020 sucks, or the funny gifs or whatever, or the memes and all that stuff. And it's like, I left my W-2 6-figure job this year, and I have never made more money. I have never closed more deals than 2020. 2020 will always be forever remembered as the year of the boom. Now, I will never say that 2020 will be my best year, because 2021 is going to be even better.
I love it.
I love it. But it's my best year to date. I will say that. And that just goes to show you that, your mindset and outlook on life in general will literally, it's your roadmap to failure or success.
Yeah. You're right. And I think you have to have that laser focus that you have. I have it. I believe I have it. No, I have it. And so here's another example. You posted an article on Facebook about Cardone, right? And he closed his biggest deal yet, or biggest deal ever in South Florida, whatnot. And somebody made a comment on there, and I'm a flopper when it comes to Cardone. I'm taking a break from him right now. He's done some stuff that I don't really appreciate, but one of the things that the comment was made from somebody who you're connected with on Facebook, says something about the minimum returns that the lawsuits are alleging. And your response to that, I thought it was brilliant. I was like, dude, I said, this guy, Corey, he is super laser focused, because your response to that comment was, yeah, I'm not diving into that. That's not the point of my post, my friend. I'm like, dude is laser focused. So how do you get there with all these distractions, with 2020 and, COVID, election, blah, blah, blah? How do you stay laser focused on what you're trying to accomplish day in and day out?
Well, part of it, and this is going to make me sound like a bad person, but part of it is, I enjoy scrolling through Facebook, and it's enjoyable. But it's also eye-opening, because basically the more stupid, negative, nothing to do with your life stuff I see people posting, that means the more stuff I see of that is the easier it is for me to make money, because they're not even trying. So that's motivating to me. I
don't think it makes you a negative person or a bad person.
Yeah. I mean, I like the guy who commented on that, but I thought to myself, what are you, when you post something like that and you comment something like that, what are you trying to accomplish that's going to benefit your day? Now, what I commented may have benefited his day, because maybe he could think that was stupid of me to say. And I know it benefited mine, because I thought to myself, wow, I've grown up. Because I wanted to tell him he was an idiot, right? But it all, I wish I had some cute answer for you. It's just, it goes back to the refusal, man. I don't want to be, and another, quick story, my dad, he is a businessman, and he had passed away and had no life insurance. So we had lost everything when he passed. We finally had made it, right? And then he passed away at 38. So my life's work is making sure that if that ever happens to me, my kids always will be able to say, Dad took care of us even after he's gone. So that's a motivating factor. Kids are motivating to stay laser focused. And also my staff, man. Everybody on my staff is people that I've known for multiple years and are good friends of mine. So if I'm not laser focused, that means their families don't eat. So now I got 6 families I have to worry about on a daily basis. And I care about all of them. I mean, mainly one of them has a cool drinking spot, so I got to make sure he can pay his. He's got a pool table and everything, so I got to make sure his mortgage is paid, because we lose that, we're in trouble.
That's funny. On a serious topic, you talked about your dad died when you were 38 or when he was 38?
I'm 30. He was 38.
Gotcha. Okay. So it was a while ago. I was gonna say, man, you are a young looking 38-year-old. But how much of him passing? Because I've seen some stuff where I feel like you were very close with him. And there's something to the name of CMH Capital that I want to talk about, that how that came to be. But how much of him passing lit a fire up underneath you to just go and do, right?
Yeah, it's huge for me. It's the biggest thing, right? I mean, mainly because my dad was the exact same as me. He tried so hard, but he didn't understand money like I do. He didn't understand how much time you put into certain things that are going to equate to a certain amount of money. And he tried so hard and had such big dreams, but there was so much stuff left unfulfilled. And, that's the biggest motivating factor for me. His brand was the casual carpets and all that. And I just knew once he had passed that I didn't know what it was going to be. I had no idea. But I knew that one day that brand, I mean, to see that sign being decrepitated year after year when you're driving by, because obviously the whole building got repossessed. And I was just thinking to myself, I was like, I know that I'm going to bring that name back somehow, some way. But that's one of the biggest motivating factors. And everything else is the waterfall effect, to make sure, how much stuff we all learned from that. I mean, I had to file bankruptcy after that. I was 21, and so it's it's a big factor for sure.
Gotcha. Well, that sucks, but I from what I've seen, you loved your dad dearly, and to be able to, I'm sitting here thinking, if my parents were not entrepreneurs, but if they did, and growing up in the town we lived in, if I passed by a building that had our name or had our logo on it, and just seeing it, the best thing that could have happened would be for it to replace. But you said the sign just kept deteriorating, the building kept deteriorating.
Yeah.
That would piss me off. Like I would be so angry about that, but I don't think I would know what to do with that energy. And quite frankly, it looks like you figured that out at some point in time, and you're just using that as rocket fuel to go to the next step. So kudos to you, man.
Didn't happen right away.
Awesome. No,
weird years.
Well, yeah. I can only imagine, being a teenager, and you were a teenager, right? When you lost your
dad. He was 20 when I was 20 when he passed. And, so yeah. Still
young, there's a lot you're going to learn by your 40th birthday. And, I would look back and 10 years ago seems like it was a total different life. We didn't have any kids.
Still awesome though, right?
Oh yeah. I
look back when I was 20, I was like, man, I was a little shit, but still cool.
Oh yeah. So tell me about the name CMH Capital. What's
give us the whole story Capital, go ahead.
Give us the whole story with that.
Yeah, so CMH, so like I said, my dad's brand was casual carpets, casual trucking. I knew I was going to name my first park Casual Country Estate. So I knew that was going to be in there. But I was like, that's just one park. I need to figure out something for the LLC that can be interchanged to a whole bunch of different things. So I was trying to figure out a way to put casual mobile home, but that just kind of was a long name. So we shortened it up to CMH, which just stands for Casual Mobile Home. And then, it was at first CMH Investments, and then it went to CMH Company. And now we've kind of landed on CMH Capital to do all of our acquisitions. And, as you know, you do a new LLC for every park. So CMH Capital is kind of just a shell company to spend money out of. But
Gotcha. Yeah. Or it's the holding company for all of them. And then those are individual LLCs for each park. Is that right?
Yeah. So every new park, if it's in Detroit, Michigan, it's called CMH Detroit,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. What's so if I'm interested in investing in your parks, who do you work with? Is it friends and family? Is it accredited folks? Is it sophisticated folks? How would I go about finding about your next deal, and what are the minimums or maximums and that sort of thing? And how are the deals structured? How are and they're all different, but some sort of general the average deal, how is it structured?
Yeah. So basically, in order to get, when I get a deal, the investor's already picked out before the contract's even signed. So if I know that this deal in Pennsylvania fits perfectly with an investor, I'll go right to him and I'll say, hey, what do you want to pay for this? And then he says 1.4 million. And I say, how much more love will you give me if I get it for 1.2? And he'll say this much more. And I start grinding at it. Right. And so we do it like that. But people will reach out sometimes to me on Facebook or email, Corey at cmhcapitalinc.com. If you shot me an email and said, hey, I want to talk to you about investing. And then we just basically sit down and talk about, number one, what kind of money you want to put into a deal, what you're looking for, and what kind of deal you're looking for. And we kind of go from there. And then if I find that deal, then I'll send it over to that person and see if we can get something done. But it is pretty difficult. I'm not trying to sound like investing with me as some kind of holy thing, right? But I just have such a good group cluster of investors where they're proven closers. It's really hard for me to just change path because, some of these guys, if I called some of them and just said, hey, I'm going to do this deal on my own, but I need $100,000 from you at 5%, they would do it for me because they like me and they trust me. So it's pretty difficult for me to veer away from my loyalty to the ones I have now.
Absolutely.
But, when it comes to seller financing deals and stuff, though, that's most of the time when I'll veer off from them. And like if a guy wants this first park and he's got $80,000 and I find something for $80,000 down, I like working with guys like that because then they kind of let me roll and do my own thing. Because most of the sophisticated investors, we set it up right away. I make sure they know really that they're the boss. I'm here to make them money. I'll tell them what I think we should do, but I don't structure my deals where it's like, oh, you own 70%, but I'm in control. I just won't work with somebody that I feel like I need to do that to. So, they have control. They're majority. They're the boss. And I do what they tell me to do, but I always will tell them if their idea is stupid or not.
Yeah. So I absolutely love that. So in the WG Capitalist Mastermind, we're going through a book right now. It's called Nail It, Then Scale It. And it's not a real estate investing book. It's about building a business book. And I'm not a flipper or a wholesaler or anything like that, but I posed the question to the wholesalers who were in the mastermind. I said, guys, here's what I'm reading about this book is that if you're out there and you're trying to find these deals and then go find buyers for them, I was like, you're doing it wrong, according to this book. And I was like, to me, you need to find out who's got the money and what neighborhoods they want and what streets they want to be on. And then that they are outlining your marketing plan right there. Yep. And I was like, but I don't, there's one rule in the mastermind is you don't give advice or give answer questions if you don't have experience on it. So I was like, but I've never done this before. But you tell me why you're doing it the way you do, or who do you see as your customer? Right.
Yeah.
And you just supported the point I was trying to get across is you've found your customers. It's a handful of guys, what bucket they fit in. If it's going to be city septic, city well, what buckets those are in, and you're going and finding deals that fit their criteria and just making it happen. And that's freaking amazing. And
some of the guys out there too, I know somebody that just listened to this trade back and forth will think, well, I don't really work with a bunch of people, so I don't know if I trust people to just start pitching my deal. Very simple. you can make it as vague as possible. Hey, Mr. J, here, I know I don't know you very much, but I have a 75 space park that's 80% full with City in Minnesota in 100K metro. Is that something that sounds like you would invest in yourself? And they'll say, hell yeah, run it, let's go. And you say, okay, well, if the numbers looked like this and the park was a C-class property, what do you think I should get this park for under contract? And they'll say, hey, I don't know much about it, but here's your ballpark range. This is where you need to be at. Get the deal under contract. So we just eliminated every excuse that could possibly come from that exchange right there.
That's great. Financing for mobile home parks. So are these guys paying in cash, or are they big enough to where, because I see deals happen, or not, I don't see them happen. I see deals come up a lot where they're under $1 million from a mortgage standpoint. And no, the banks don't want to mess with them, or most banks that I know of don't want to mess with them. The owners don't want to sell their financing, even though they've owned it for, 30, 40 years. They own it outright. Are you dealing with those smaller, equity kind of plays, or are you dealing with much bigger transactions where financing is not an issue? Or the guys that you were with, are they just paying cash?
Well, we're always leveraging, and we use, I don't know if it's okay to plug, but if people want to know a really great contact for a mortgage broker, you can shoot me an email or something. But we have a mortgage broker where, we have such a good relationship with him. He'll go out and find it. I had to get creative because, as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, when my dad passed, I had to file bankruptcy. So I haven't had my name on one single loan throughout the 1,100 lots that I've built, that I've purchased. Because I just can't. I have one more year left, and then that's when shit's going to get a little crazy. Gangbusters. But yeah, no, the getting the financing for them isn't an issue, and we've kind of came up with a little trick where, these mortgage brokers, when they can't find us a loan on a park, we make them send us a letter. So they send us a letter in our email, and then I go to the seller with that and say, look, here's all the parks I own. If I can't finance it, nobody can. That means you got to finance it. And it's worked 5 out of 5 times this year. So
that's awesome. But for somebody who, I love that line. Hey, look, here's all the parks that I own. If I can't get financing for it, nobody's going to get financing for it. You got to be the bank in this case. But a guy like me, I don't have any mobile home parks to my name. So that scratches that lot.
I'll make that call for you, man.
Well, there you go. Look.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Corey's my partner on this. He's the one tracking down the financing. If he can't get, I love it.
Right. And a way around that, to be serious for a minute, would be, instead of just saying, here's the parks I own, you say, here are all the banks I've went to.
Yeah.
They won't finance this park. That means you have to. So eliminate the resume out of it. And go to the point where, look at all these banks they tried. Here's this letter. They tried 20. This guy tried 20. Nobody will touch it. That means if you really want to sell this park at all, it has to be where you're holding the paper.
Yeah.
And then, but some of these guys are, I had one guy, he called me, he said, I never get anybody to agree to sell their financing. I said, send me your contract. And his balloon was 15 years. I was like, well, shoot, man, no wonder. I mean, 15, you asking an 80-year-old seller to hold a note for 15 years, like, end up looking like Rose from the Titanic before he gets his money back, man. I mean, you can't do that. You got to do short balloons where it's like 2-year balloon with a 3-year extension, or 5-year balloon at most, that's where you got to be at, man. If you can't turn a park around in 5 years, you're buying the wrong property, or you're not working hard enough. Every park can be turned around in 5 years or less. Yeah,
I would say I'm not working hard enough. I've got one mobile home left in my portfolio, and we're scheduled to close on it next week. And I'll be happy when it's gone. I don't know. I just mobile. I think it's my experience or my attempt to manage it based on what I told you earlier. It just didn't go well.
And I think most of the people that invest with me would probably say the same thing, but a lot of the problems they never even know about it. They get handled, and we handle them in house, and the investor just knows, hey, here's my cash on cash return. Looks just like, what we were hoping it would be. And we're good to go. But I mean, we'll buy a park together one day. I promise.
All right. Sounds good. The closest I've ever gotten to buying a park, it was amazing. I had the numbers working. And when I say the numbers, so the numbers that were sent to me were scratched on the back of a 8.5 by 11, sheet of paper. And I was like, what is this?
Right.
And well, that's the rent roll. And that's all the money or all the numbers you're going to get. And I was like, okay, a bank's not going to lend on this. I've got to have some more stuff. And then I got excuse after excuse. Well, the CPA, it's tax season. CPA needs a little bit of time. Well, after we toyed around with that for a few weeks, then the seller went into the hospital, supposedly. I don't doubt he did. He was an older guy and he had some issues. And then I kept pushing him on it. And then eventually somebody came in and bought it with cash. And I was like, well, good for them.
Right.
Good for them.
Right.
Anyway. All right, Corey. One last thing, or two last things. Did you really close 5 deals in 24 hours? No.
I put 5 parks under contract in 24 hours.
Okay, well that's pretty good.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
That's pretty good still.
It's funny because I looked at my president of operations, my senior partner, I should be called, my senior partner, and I looked at him and I said, hey, do you realize tomorrow we can put 8 parks under contract? And he's like, I know. And the next thing you know, I woke up in the morning and we just started going to town. I really thought we were going to get to 8 that day. And we ended up getting 3 more the next day. And I didn't even post them because I was so pissed. It's like, if you're not beating 5 in 24 hours, what's the point anymore? And I was so mad because these people, they were having internet problems. One lady wanted to mail it to us. So it's like, technically we got like 6 or 7, but it was 5 officials, so we'll leave it at that. But yeah, it was a fun day.
So how many have you closed on all those?
Not yet. So we have about 5 closings scheduled in the first couple parts of the year. But we have about 5 deals that we would have otherwise did. That they're smoking hot deals. But we're wholesaling them again to make sure that my staff has, that's where they make the most money. And we want to make sure we put out 5 deals right at the beginning of the year to where essentially they're getting their entire year's salary right up front. And then everyone grinds the rest of the year. And it's unfortunate because they're bigger. But at the same time, I also don't want to be spending my savings account either. So it helps me as well. So it's not just for them. But yeah, we're going to wholesale 5 really nice deals. To where we won't get any ownership. It'll just be a big wholesale fees to feed everybody.
Nice.
For the year.
Very cool. All right, man. Look, I've enjoyed talking with you. I'm going to bring up, we're going to move to the off the wall part of the show. Something new I've started doing where I'm going to ask you 3 off the wall questions. Look at it. He's readjusting in his chair, ladies and gentlemen. He's getting ready for this. I love it. Yeah, let me get to it. Let me get to it. Where to go? And they are family friendly. I cussed a little bit earlier. I apologize for that. All right, here we go. Number 1. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, if you're listening to this, he's leaning forward. He's been laid back the entire time. He's leaning forward. He's ready to go. What do you think? Where'd it go? What do you think one of the biggest cons about being famous would be? In your case, being more famous. How about
that? I would say probably not being able to, walk outside without it being on camera. If you wanted to just be away. Yeah.
Agree with that. I feel like I should ask your wife this question. How long can you go without talking?
Oh, not very long. not very long.
What do you think? What's the biggest? What's the longest you've ever been? Not counting sleep, by the way.
If you asked her, she would probably say, if I'm talking about something that isn't mobile home parks, then he'll go a long time without talking and pretend he doesn't hear me. But she thinks I talk about work way too much. But I mean, that's a tough one. If I'm not watching a movie, I'm talking. I mean, I'm on the phone or something. So not too long, man.
That's funny if you ask her. All right. So you've got a few kids, right? You
Yeah.
guys are on your way to almost a basketball team, I think.
Right.
What is the main quality that you think makes a extremely great parent? If you had to narrow it down to one.
Time.
Mm,
Time with the kids.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a sensitive subject because right now we're working so hard. So yeah, I'd say time.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's I've had several people come to me here recently and says, Jay, it looks like you're working harder now than when you actually had a W-2 and you were just doing this on the side. I'm like, well, absolutely I am.
Yeah,
And my wife and I, like, she is extremely supportive. I know she wants to speak up and say, look, dude, you gotta, we even do this thing now, Thursday mornings. There is actually scheduled time on my calendar where it's family time. There's no
yeah,
phones, there's nothing. We go to the beach
that's
or we go do
smart.
something.
I like that.
And because if I don't put it on the calendar, then months are going to go by and we're like, when's the last time we did something as a family other than sat down and have a meal? Let's go
Yeah,
do some exploring. So
that's smart
I,
to put it on the calendar though, because guys like us, I'll be sitting here and my phone will ding and I'll say, okay, what meeting do I have? And it's just
yeah,
guys like us, we run off of calendars, right? But yeah, no, time is the one thing you can't get back. So that's and
love
I
it.
think it's the correct time. I mean, if you say, hey, I get out of work at 5 every day and I go home and spend time with my kids, but really you're just sitting on the couch watching TV and they're in their rooms playing their tablet, you're not giving any time, right? I mean, so you're no better than I, but I would say that's the one thing that would make a good parent, and also something that I'm striving to get to is
Yeah.
to spend more time. Yeah.
Yeah. I think one thing too and my son he's 6, so he's starting to kind of understand, or he's becoming more vocal about, hey dad, I want to play with you, and here recently I've had to say, yep, let's go do it, or just give me a minute, let me finish this thought, or let me get off this call. Like, he's waiting on me right now. We were playing some games on his
Yeah.
iPad, and I was
My
like,
4-year-old, she says, hey, dad, I want to play with you. I say, then you need to learn how to do spreadsheets. No, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. You know how to evaluate a mobile home park? Yeah, we can play all day.
That is incredible. That's awesome. I love the sense of humor, man. That's good. That's good. Uh, oh
Good.
man. But you're gonna get, the point I was trying to make is that they're seeing you work hard and they're gonna understand that, man, dad is really busting it to provide for us, and then you guys can go do the next step. One of the things that really, I can't remember who told me this, but it was a couple of years ago, when I still had a job and whatnot, and they were like, so why are you doing all this real estate investing stuff, and why don't you just focus on your job, be there for your family? I was like, because I want to break free. I want to be able to go and do whatever I want to, and really spend some time with my kids and make those memories. Okay, what's your trajectory for that? Like, when are you going to be able to do that? And I was like, well, I don't know, 7 years. By the way, I always had a 7-year plan. Like, you asked me next year, it was still going to be a 7-year plan, right?
Yeah.
And every year after that was a 7-year plan. And they were like, well, how old are your kids now? And I told them, they're like, okay, so by the time you reach this goal, your kids are going to be teenagers. And how many teenagers do you know want to hang out with their parents? I was like, huh.
Yeah.
So you're saying I got to go quicker is what you're saying. And they're like, no, what I'm saying is, like, they were not expecting me to say that. They were like, yeah, no, what I meant was you should just work your job and be there for your family. Now I was like, but it's no fun waking up, seeing them for like 20 minutes, go to work all day, come home exhausted, seeing them for maybe an hour or two, and then we got to do the bath, get in the bed, stuff
Yeah.
like that. And I am so thankful that I got laid off this year, and now we're focusing on this full time, and um, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. And it's like breaking free from the W-2 job is step one, because to be honest, I'm home less now than I was when I had a job. But it's step one to stopping creating wealth for other people and spending your time creating wealth for yourself and your family. And there's just it's just step one. Everyone said that to me too, and I was wondering. I said, where did all if I spent 60 hours a week just spending time with the family, pretending I used to be at work, it doesn't work like that. It's step one, and then you build a staff that that I'm building now that surrounds you, that just makes you where they start to make you look stupid, where they tell you, Corey, just go on out. That's the dream, right? The golden dream is when they're shooing me out of the room because I'm wasting their time, right? And then you're making serious wealth while spending all time with family. And it takes time, but I mean, what my main goal is, I have enough where I can sell all my parks now, and me and my fiance, we could live pretty comfortably for the rest of our lives on that and just put it into the 401k or whatever the hell people do.
Don't do that.
But I'm trying to make sure that my grandkids, future grandkids and great grandkids, where it's a generational wealth thing. My goal is to break my family's poverty gap to where they one day look back 100 years from now and say, yeah, your grandpa started in mobile home parks. That's why we have money today. And the Woodruff family is not lower income family. We are wealthy. So that's the goal.
Yep. Same here. We're both striving. Man. We're just focused on different assets, and
you're coming in, Jay. You're diving in with me. These deals, man. We're doing one.
There's a guy who leads the mobile home park mastermind. He was going to be on here today and with us, and I was like, man, you got to get a mic. He doesn't have a microphone and set up. I was like, you got to get one, and he maybe even move. He also has a moving mobile home moving company as well, and it just didn't work out. So I want to introduce. I think you guys would get along very well, and he's in Iowa. Is where
nice.
He's at. So he's up near where you're at, and if you I think you guys would match well together and just be somebody y'all just need to be connected for sure. So I'll introduce you. But man, pleasure to finally get to talk with you.
Yeah.
I am so inspired by everything you have going on. Next up, I want to see you on one of those hoverboards that I saw with your kids.
Dude, I can ride one. I'll get on one. Heck yeah, man. I'm good on it.
I do not need a broken bone.
No, I'm pretty decent at it. I'll post the video.
All right. I love it. Tag me in it when you do.
I will. I will.
Corey, before we get out of here, man, how is the best way for people to get a hold of you?
So you can contact me on Facebook, or you can email me, Corey at cmhcapitalinc.com, or reach out to my senior partner, Dylan Legg, on Facebook. He's part of all the major mobile home groups.
Awesome. We'll link to as much of that as I can in the show notes. But Corey, thank you, sir. Enjoy the conversation. So you've acquired 1,100 lots in right under 2 years, right? Or
yeah, so we acquired 120 in our first two, and then in the last two we've acquired 1,000. Yeah, about 1,000.
All right.
So we're going for 2,000. So next year at this time,
I was gonna say
Christmas, you put me on this meeting, and I'm gonna tell you we own 3,000.
I love it. All right. So next year we're gonna circle back around Christmas. I'm gonna put it on my calendar as soon as we hang up to get you back on there.
Man. Scheduling.
And with the expectation, the only way you get to come back is if you've got 3,000. I think it's going to be more than that, actually. But I think you're going to hit 3,000. We're
going to take out Sun Communities by 2025.
All right, Corey. Thank you, sir. Really do appreciate it, and I look forward to catching up with you soon, man.
Good stuff. Thanks, Jay.
All right, y'all. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm willing to bet you didn't enjoy it as much as I did. I really enjoyed talking with Corey, getting to know him better, and not just being somebody on Facebook who I see hustling, grinding away, and just making things happen. It's incredible. It's immensely inspiring. So I'm going to give you three steps from here, recommended next steps, right? Number one, connect with him on Facebook. The link's going to be in the description below. to get that same inspiring feeling that I have when I see what he's doing and all the deals he's putting together and closing. Number two, let me know in the comments below what you thought about today's interview. What resonated with you? What did you agree with? What did you not agree with? It could be something I said or something Corey said. Let me know. Either way, let me know. And give us a thumbs up or thumbs down, whatever your case is, right? And then the third thing I want to point you to is this next video right here that I'm going to post here in just a minute. Corey and I talked toward the end about building this generational wealth, right? And the best platform that I've found to do that is with the Bank on Yourself concept. A sponsor of the podcast, Mr. Mark Willis, gives us this presentation, gives the W2 Capitalist community this presentation where he goes into depth on how this can actually work for you. It's a concept and it's a strategy that I'm doing to build out that generational wealth for our kids so they can one day say, look, great grandpa Jay, we have all of this because of what he started through his real estate investing and specifically implementing that bank on yourself concept, bank on yourself strategies. So that video where I want to see you next is right here.